So many of you all as a dietitian come to me and you're like, Shelly, I'm avoiding the sugar, the carbs, the white carbs, the white rice, you cut out soda, and sometimes you're close to tears and you're not seeing the results of the blood sugars coming down. You proudly follow the food guide pyramid and you're just in shock of why are my blood sugars elevated. Well, you're gonna wanna watch this video to learn the worst foods for your blood sugar. Now, my name is Shelly. I work as a keto dietitian, and I myself went through a huge struggle with weight after the birth of my second child. I really went on a 3-year kind of reevaluation period of where I realized the food guide pyramid and things that I was taught in school did not work. It kept weight on me. I had really bad arthritis in my feet. I had terrible migraines. And one day I woke up and I said, no more. I'm throwing out everything that I've learned in school and doing a lot of research. And that is what I bring to my clients. So jazzed to report some of my clients have really decreased their A1C levels. And you're gonna wanna watch my video to learn a lot more of my story. But enough of that. I am so excited to share with you the foods you really need to avoid if you're pre-diabetic or if you have diabetes. And these are the foods my clients avoid, and they have drastic improvement levels in their A1C level, and I want you to have the same. So grab your pen and paper. Today I want you to rip up those god-awful American diabetes guidelines, the food guide pyramid. Gang, please never follow that garbage. And I can distinctly remember when I was in the hospital after giving birth to both of my kids, the awful pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes, because I personally requested that tray. It had 3 servings of carbs. 3 servings of carbs. That is absolutely insane. So do me a favor. Not only earlier we ripped up the American diabetes guidelines, but I want you to rip up the food guide pyramid and follow these foods. So real quick, the foods were chosen based on 3 things. I look at the glycemic index, I look at the amount of fiber in foods, and then of course I look at the sugar or carbs. The glycemic index we talked about before in several videos. It is a value that is used to measure how much specific food increases your blood sugar levels. So for example, if I eat this, how does my blood sugar react? It's really 3 scales, which is super nice: high, medium, and low. And the lower the glycemic index in the food, the less it affects your blood sugar levels. So that's really what we should be focused on. If you want specific numbers, it's, I believe, and I'll correct it in the text if I'm wrong, 55 or less is considered low, but me personally, I try to go as low as possible. Number 2 thing I looked at was your fiber. Now, typically the higher fiber food, the slower effect it has on our blood sugar levels. Kind of why the foods low in the glycemic index are usually higher in fiber. Now, when a food doesn't have fiber in it, it typically will increase your blood sugar levels. And number 3, of course, is the sugar and carbs. This is what we've been trained on. And yes, I definitely still look at. Remember, foods that are high in sugar will cause your blood sugar levels to increase. Now, a disclaimer that I always give is I do not sugarcoat. Now, I know that's a terrible choice of words. I have to be honest and tell you, I am very strict in my clinic. So some folks take that a little personally, like where they'll say everything in moderation. And if that's you, you probably want to click off this video right now. And folks will say, well, why are you so strict? And I'm like, my feet hurt. I was fat. I had migraines. So, I'd rather be strict than not. And I'm really bringing you this list if you want to make a huge, huge life change. Because for me, it's all about living a fun-filled life that's pain-free, the inflammation's decreased, and disease-free. That's my goal for you all. My second disclaimer that I want to give you is my first foods are ones that many of you have already cut out. So this is not to insult. I do realize that some folks watching this video may be watching it for the first time, so go ahead and subscribe. But I do have to go over these foods just so everybody is okay. And then the third disclaimer, but it is a great disclaimer, is that typically when we cut out these foods that are high in the glycemic index, don't have any fiber, don't have any sugar, guess what? We're gonna have some weight loss. And there's a ton of studies that prove that, but I know you're like, Shelly, get on the list. I got my pen and paper and I'm ready to take notes. Well, baby girl and baby boy, let's go. Viewer discretion advised. Number 1 is sugar. Yes, I know a lot of you all know that. we're gonna kiss Mary Poppins bye-bye, because a spoonful of sugar does not help the medicine go down. It can cause some serious harm to us. And when people with diabetes or pre-diabetes consume too many carbs at a time, their blood sugar levels can increase to some dangerously high levels. And over time, those high levels can damage the nerves in our body, in our blood vessels, which can cause heart disease, kidney disease, blindness, and other serious health issues. I think many of you all know this. We may have an aunt who's experienced this, but please, gang, it could definitely happen quickly. Table sugar has a glycemic index of 58. Remember, that puts it in a medium category, but don't get excited about this, gang. This is what the lovely folks at the Sugar Institute or Sugar Association or Sugar whatever love to say, everything in moderation, but I'm like, are you blind? Are you blind to these studies? So sugar for us gets a big fat no. Number 2 is regular soda. And again, so many of y'all like cut this out, and thank you for following those guidelines. But it's important to note that 12 ounces of a soda, so in particular Coke, has 9 teaspoons of sugar. So it's a lot more than some folks think. And then everybody's gonna say, well, you're from the South and Southern women drink sweet tea. But the same amount of sweetened iced tea and lemonade contains the same amount of carbs pretty much as that soda. So again, we have to cut both of those out. But here's the real deal about this. These drinks are loaded with something called fructose, which is strongly linked to insulin resistance and diabetes. In addition, these studies suggest that consuming sugar-sweetened beverages may increase the risk of diabetic-related conditions like fatty liver disease. And yes, I do see a lot of wonderful folks in my clinic who do have fatty liver disease, and they're like, why? I drink sweet tea, and I'm like, there you go. These high fructose levels in sugary drinks may lead to metabolic changes that promote belly fat and increased cholesterol and triglycerides. Y'all, get these drinks out of your body. This is terrible. And to add insult to injury, consuming 25% of calories from a high fructose beverage on a weight maintaining diet led to increased insulin resistance, gang. This is bad stuff. Cut these out of your life right now and just switch to plain old water. Number 3 is white rice, white pasta, bread. And yes, let's throw in the wheat varieties. Why? These have no fiber. It is embarrassing that we teach folks to consume all these wheat products, and they are terrible for us. They do nothing. They usually have 1 or 2 grams of fiber, which is awful. Cut these out of your life. And yes, I am gluten-free, but some of the gluten-free pastas were shown to also raise blood sugar levels. So we have to be very specific whenever we are choosing the white rice, the white pasta. Instead, we go for that vegetable alternative. So for example, as much as I can't stand them, the zucchini noodles, now I do love palmini, that's one of my favorites. Breads I usually make myself, but I have some great alternatives and some videos that I've linked below. Now, the shockers. Number 4, cornflakes. But Shelly, cornflakes don't have any sugar. Boo, its glycemic index is a 93. And remember, that chart goes up to 100. It has 24 grams of carbs per serving. The primary ingredient is milled corn, which has a higher glycemic rating than the whole grain alternatives. So when corn is milled, its outer layer is removed. This leaves behind a super starchy product that has really little nutrition value and lots of quickly digestible carbohydrates. What does that mean? Pew, pew, pew! Blood sugars increase. And what's worse about this is that folks who ate cornflakes, we're hungry like hours later. Number 5, Raisin Bran. Throw that crap away. I know I cussed, but it is so awful for us. I cannot believe how many folks still eat this garbage. It is loaded with sugar. It has 46 grams of carbs in a cup. That is more than 3 slices of bread. We have been fooled on this. If you love cereal, look for a substance called pro-granola. Number 6 is orange juice. Okay, I would say about half of my patients and clients do avoid this, but this includes orange, apple, cranberry. But Shelly, it's 100% juice. Sadly, fruit juice is sometimes higher in sugar and carbs than soda. Some of our 8 ounces of our orange juice has 22, 24 grams of sugar. sugar. It really depends kind of what brand that you get, but look at this. Grape juice provides 35 grams of sugar. This is so bad. And similar to our sugar sweetened beverages, fruit juice is loaded with fructose. Fructose again drives that insulin resistance, obesity, and heart disease. Get that water, cut the juice out. It doesn't matter. The pretty commercials, don't listen to them. Number 7 is dried fruit. Now, when a fruit is dried, the process results in a loss of water. It kind of shrinks down like a prune, leading to higher concentration of the nutrients. Unfortunately, it increases the concentration of sugar. 1 cup of raisins has 115 grams of carbs. That is almost 2 Happy Meals. Not 1, 2. And dried fruit is on the food guide pyramid. Why? How? Oh yeah. Number 8 is margarine. Now I get it. Margarine has no carbs, no sugar, but it has something even scarier, and that's called trans fat. Now, although trans fat doesn't directly raise blood sugar levels, like you can go eat a block of margarine and it won't increase, it's been linked to increased inflammation, insulin resistance, belly fat, as well as lower levels of the HDL cholesterol, which is our good cholesterol. Now, artificial trans fats have been outlawed in most countries, but I don't know how true that is. And in 2018, the FDA banned the use of partially hydrogenated oils, the major source of artificial trans fats in the food supply. It's best to avoid any product that contains the words partially hydrogenated in its ingredient list. So do double check that ingredient list for some of your fats. Just really use butter. Kerrygold is one of my favorites. If you use olive oil, fantastic. Number 9, I kind of touched base on this earlier, and it's wheat rice. Browned and brown rice have glycemic index scores between about 56 and 69, and then wheat rice really doesn't have any kind of fiber, so you're not benefiting by switching over. I personally like to use the palmini rice. You gotta rinse it. I did an entire video with my favorite rice substitutes. I'm gonna link it below. Great video to watch after this. Number 10 is wheat bread, and I mentioned white bread earlier. Now, whole wheat bread has a glycemic index between 56 and 59. Most wheat breads have little or zero fiber. Just know. Now, I will tell you this, the options for low carb bread has exploded the last year, which makes me happy. I've tried a couple. Base culture really takes my award, so grab that one if you are the bread lover. Number 11 is fruit flavored yogurt. Now, flavored yogurts are typically made with low fat milk and loaded with carbs and sugar. That's what makes it taste good. A 1 cup serving of your fruit flavored yogurt can contain about 31 grams of sugar, which is about 2 slices of bread. We always recommend plain varieties of Greek yogurt. I love the full fat Faye. You can add a little stevia to it, add that pro-granola we talked about, and it's fantastic. Number 12 is a watermelon. Now, contrary to what we've been told, everybody always says this. It's like, oh, I'm gonna eat watermelon because the first word is water. What? No. Watermelon takes the award for the highest glycemic fruit, coming in at 72. 72 is a lot. That is super duper high. And the other thing we need to be honest about watermelon, and think about in the summertime and when we were kids, we just did not eat a cup. You're lying if you did eat a cup. And that's okay. We're honest in my clinic. I'm like, nope. Cut the watermelon out. Number 13 is fancy pants coffee. And y'all know I love to talk just crazy. Now, I'm from Louisiana. Coffee is in all these veins right here. A 16-ounce caramel frappuccino from Starbucks, 57 grams of carbs. Hello, you could have another Happy Meal. Say it with me, coffee plus heavy whip plus stevia. Number 14, honey. Here come the bees, coming to sting me. The local farmers are gonna come kill me. And I have to be honest, this is where honesty hurts. A tablespoon of honey is 17 grams of carbs. Glycemic index is 58. And on that note, number 15 with coconut sugar, that overpriced stuff that's at Whole Foods, and y'all think y'all fabulous because that's where y'all are shopping and y'all bougie, but y'all know I do to Walmart and Drug Emporium. Glycemic index 50 to 54, pretty much the same as table sugar. Number 16 is pretzels. And remember, this was a food that was crazy promoted to us as something healthy back in the day. I can remember it. I talked about it in my story. I ate pretzels for lunch, and I thought I was doing something really, really good whenever I realized the carbs in there and there was no fiber, pretzels have a glycemic index level of 83. How close is that to 100? Holy cow. They offer nothing nutrition-wise for us, and let's be honest, they taste pretty bad. And then finally, corn, number 17. Oh, corn. Is corn good for diabetics? This is a huge question I get. No. Now, the glycemic index of corn is 52, so people will argue with me that, you know, it's lower than most, but it doesn't have any fiber in it, you know? And here's the thing. High fructose corn syrup is a sweetener made from corn. It's commonly found in processed foods, and then high fructose corn syrup can lead to something called leptin resistance. And according to the Journal of Endocrinology, the hormone leptin triggers satiety, which lets our brain know that the body doesn't need to eat, okay, and burn calories at a normal rate. So bottom line, what does that mean? We have to watch out and avoid the foods that are made from corn. So corn and high fructose corn syrup, not good, not good. I want you all to succeed. I want to help you succeed. And because of that, I want you to download our 7-day menu. It's in the description box. You're gonna click on the link. It's gonna ask for your email. It's gonna be sent to your email box. And really, if you're new, I want you to learn about me and the reason that I kind of left the food guide pyramid world behind in my story. And if you've watched that video before, go on over to see my favorite rice substitutes. I would love it if you subscribe, and gang, I wish you well.